November 3rd, 2017. That was the day Call of Duty World War II released. This game included zombies, and we'll be taking a look at World War II Zombies 6 years later to see if it has aged well. World War II Zombies has a lot of really cool concepts, but a lot of missed opportunities for the mechanics of the game. From the intro alone, the atmosphere is excellent for what they were going for. They were going for the scary atmosphere that zombies had lost long ago, and they nailed it right on the head. There is so much more to talk about, but now let's talk about the first map, the Final Reich. The Final Reich fits the vibe that Sledgehammer was going for perfectly. You feel the scary vibe that they were going for, especially with the jump scares, which definitely got me every single time. The lab slash facility map is a bit overdone in Zombies, but it works very well here. The layout is a really good one, actually. The layout is very well designed, and it's on the simple side. It's not a small map by any means, but it's not a big map. The areas feel they fit there, and they weren't there just to be put there. They feel that they serve a purpose. The Wonder Weapon is incredibly easy to unlock. I really like how you can get the Wonder Weapon. It makes sense, especially in the setting. It's just super simple. The Wonder Weapon is fun to use. It isn't incredibly overpowered, but it can do some damage. Now, this is something that Sledgehammer did really well, and I really hope Treyarch takes this into account for future maps. The concept of two Easter eggs, one for casuals and one for hardcore fans, is such a unique and creative concept. It is a great concept and it works perfectly here. The casual Easter egg is simple. It holds your hand with it, just like Cold War. Some steps are a tad difficult, but none are crazy. The hardcore Easter egg, on the other hand, is difficult, it is complex, it's similar to Treyarch's Easter egg style. It's not required, but you can choose which one you do, which is such an amazing concept and something Cold War would have benefited from greatly. Nonetheless, this is a great first map. It's a fun map. It's just a great first introduction to World War II zombies. Now, onto the Darkest Shore. The Darkest Shore is a very strange map. It's the second map in World War II Zombies, and it just doesn't hold up to the Final Reich. The map has a very different atmosphere. Still scary, but it feels different for some reason, and I just can't put my finger on it. Starting the match is really cool. You got all the zombies coming at you. You can use the mounted gun to take them all out. That's fun. That's pretty different. I like that. But other than that, the map doesn't feel like it brings anything new or unique to the table. Getting power on is super simple and easy, and it's the same with Pack a Punch. Super simple and easy. A separate quest to get Pack a Punch is great, especially when it's super simple like this. The saw the saw is the wonder weapon of the map. It's unique, it's different, but it's kind of useless unless you're doing the Easter egg. It's really easy to get, it's really easy to upgrade. It's just kind of useless if you're not going for the Easter egg. The layout is pretty bad. It's very confusing. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it's really not good. The spacing in the map is also a big problem. The map is very tight in a lot of sections, which can lead to some crazy plays, but stressing 99% of the time while playing is not very fun. It is kind of annoying, actually. The map overall isn't the worst thing in the world, but it doesn't improve upon any mechanics or include any crazy gameplay features. Now, onto the Shadowed Throne. The Shadowed Throne. The setting in this map is really nice. It's really pleasing to look at in the terms of these maps. These maps are mostly dark and gray, and being able to go outside and see a bit of light made things easier to see, and it just made it easier to play the map. It was very pleasing to look at. The Wonder Weapon is really cool and unique. It isn't horrible and it's not complex to get, but you will probably have to end up getting a guide for it. Just look up a guide for it. You're probably not going to find it on your first playthrough unless you have a guide, which is kind of annoying, but it is what it is. Having the Wonder Weapon and Pack-a-Punch linked together is an idea that I dislike very much. It makes the game very repetitive. It means that every single time you play the Shadowed Throne, you would have to get the Wonder Weapon every single time just to get Pack-a-Punch. And that's just really annoying. I don't enjoy that. But once you do get the Wonder Weapon, it's insanely easy to get Pack-a-Punch. The map is much more spread out than the Darkest Shore, which is a big positive. The layout is pretty simple, it's easy to understand, and being able to use melee weapons in early rounds is a really fun feature, even if it's not too viable on the higher rounds. The map is a big improvement from the Darkest Shore, but it doesn't do much to improve what the Final Reich did for the start of the map. It's not a bad map, but it's not a great map. It's an okay map at best. Now onto the Frozen Dawn. The Frozen Dawn is the final map in World War II. The final map in the series of DLC at least. I'll get to that later. First off, the layout is very confusing. Very, very confusing. So many areas look just so similar, and it makes it just confusing to just run around the map. But the map opens up with a really interesting concept. You can't open the door by buying it, but rather by filling a soul box. It's a unique way to start the map, and I actually like it. I think it's very different. It's very unique, and I wouldn't be opposed to seeing it in a map again. This is a map I found myself really enjoying to my surprise. This map had a lot of ups and downs, much like any other map, but I had an absolute blast. The wonder weapons are all cool and unique. The wonder weapon that I got in my game was the scythe. The scythe felt fun to use. It felt really, really cool. It was just a blast to use. It was unique. It was unlike anything I ever used in World War II Zombies up to that point. Upgrading it was short and simple. The only complaint I have about this map is the layout, which I already touched upon. Getting Pack-a-Punch is just as easy in this map as it was in the final Reich. I really like the way you unlock Pack-a-Punch in most of the maps. It's short and simple. It is a very short little quest. Once you get Pack-a-Punch unlocked, you got it for the rest of the game. Love it. The outside of this map, where you spawn in, is very pleasing to look at. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said for the rest of the map. The rest of the map is definitely unique, but it is a mix of gray and blue with the occasional red sprinkled in when you're in a bloody area. Maybe it's just a preference, but I really like colors in maps. I want to admire what I'm looking at when I'm playing a zombies map. The map itself is definitely a map you can jump in and enjoy. I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would. It feels fresh, it feels unique. The wonder weapons are fun to use. The map feels good and simple to play besides the horrendous layout. Once you find a training area, you're honestly fine. The map is one of the better ones in World War II, but it isn't really saying much. You might have thought I was done, but not yet. Almost done. There is a very different mode than the original round-based zombies that we grown to know and love. This was a 10 wave mode which included objectives to complete every few rounds. The further you got in the map, the more you would unlock, such as pack-a-punch, assault rifles, LMGs, etc. Essentially, this was an attempt at something new and fresh. It was an attempt at the outbreak mode from Cold War, but done horribly wrong. Actually, I feel like it resembles more of the objective based mode in Vanguard rather than Cold War. The setting and lack of content are why it's very similar to the Vanguard objective mode. I would rather play the Tortured Path than Vanguard any day of the week, but that's not really saying much. The map doesn't guide you to do anything else unless you have an objective. The objectives aren't difficult by any means, but more so annoying when a zombie hits you. It may push you off of the objective you were trying to complete. The game forces you to complete these objectives or else you'll fail. The one good thing about this mode is that when you complete the Tortured Path, you will unlock 3 survival based mode, which are all very fun. You get 3 survival maps that all feature perks, wall buys, pack a punch, etc. it's just survival. There's no main Easter egg quest. There's no gathering in parts. Like you're just surviving, having a good time. I'd say it's worth it to complete the Tortured Path just to get the 3 survival maps. Each map is fun, each map is unique. You're just messing around and killing zombies. Final thoughts. The series is complete. Now that we have covered everything, we're going to determine whether this game holds up in 2023. The Final Reich is a really fun map and it's a really great map. It was a perfect starting point. Unfortunately, the other maps just weren't able to hold up to the first map. It felt like the quality of each map just kept decreasing and decreasing from one map to the next. The Final Reich is a solid 8 out of 10. The Darkest Shore is more like a 5 out of 10, and that's being very generous. The Shadowed Throne was like a 6 out of 10, and the Frozen Dawn was like a 7 out of 10. There was no map that blew me out of the water and brought something mind blowing to the table. The mechanics are what bring this game down. The melee system is fine. I don't mind it. I think it's kind of cool in the beginning, but it does get annoying in the later rounds since you have to do the whole animation. Being able to drop points at any time is actually really cool, and I love that for co op. The zombie pathing isn't too bad, but it could be a lot better. The zombie spawns are all over the place. A lot of the time, I felt I had zombies spawning 10 miles ahead of me as soon as I opened the door. And don't get me started on the armor system. My god, how I dislike the armor system. I don't like it much in Cold War since it provides way too much protection, but in this game it's good in the first few rounds, but past round 20, it feels like your armor gets destroyed within 2 hits. It doesn't feel like enough protection for what they're advertising. Each time your armor breaks, you have to pay more and more to repair it. I'm fine with the concept as long as there is a limit, but there doesn't feel like there is a limit. At one point, I was paying almost 10,000 points just to repair armor. That is ridiculous. Having a casual Easter egg and a hardcore Easter egg is a great idea. I love that idea. The problem is, it was only on one map. It's an idea that would have benefited this game, and I hope that Trek implements the idea in a future Call of Duty. All in all, World War II Zombies wasn't as bad as I remember it. It was actually a lot better than I remember it, but that doesn't even mean it was great or even okay. This was a much, much better experience than Exo Zombies, but it still had its flaws. I think it has aged properly. I don't think it's aged bad. I don't think it's aged well. I think it's aged properly.